Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer for Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. Thank you for joining me this evening. We're going to get right to it. The Raiders had their first scrimmage of the preseason tonight, and it was an utter disappointment. Utter disappointment. And I pride myself, and I mean that pride in a good way, that I'm going to come to you guys and I'm going to tell you when it's great. And I'm going to tell you when I think people are being overly critical. And I'm going to tell you the truth when it's not. It was a complete disappointment. Um, Offensively, let me just say, in every single way, the defense dominated this. First string, second string, excuse me, first string, second string, third string, the young pups, they dominated it. They dominated it. And it was a very disappointing performance by the offense. It was completely uninspired. I'm going to get into all of that tonight. I'm not going to mince any words because the reality is what the reality was: complete and utter disappointment. No other way to voice it. And we're going to get into there tonight. So Gardner started with the ones, but he and Aiden O'Connell traded back and forth. None of the three first, second, or third string quarterbacks were good. None of them were. Um, Gardner Minshew um, becomes a gunslinger and throws an interception on a ball he shouldn't have thrown, picked off by Jack Jones. Aiden O'Connell has a very good very good drive going, takes a deep shot, but it's into triple coverage where Isaiah Palomau just intercepts it. Anthony Brown had two fumbles on one play. It Nobody was impressive at quarterback. Um, this offense, I have told you at times when certain guys have played, but outside of Jacoby Myers, there has not been one wide receiver this entire camp that's just looked great. Jacoby Myers has looked like the best player on the roster. Now, in fairness, Devontae was not there the last practice. He wasn't there today. He is back with his wife having a baby. Congratulations to them. But I've even talked to you when he was here about some drops he had. It was a performance. Well, we'll get into more of it. Um, Jacoby Myers is the only sure-handed wide receiver right now. Trey Tucker, I told you all offseason, OTA's minicamp, didn't drop a ball. And he is now. And he's dropped some balls. He's catching some, but he's dropping some. You can go right down the list. He's not the only one. And you got guys battling who's going to be the four receiver, who's going to be the five receiver, and you can't drop balls. You just can't do it. And in case you think, well, Hondo, you're pretty emotional. No, I'm not. My job is to report factually. And factually, the offense was terrible. Now, here's the thing. It isn't schematics. There was some really, really good plays called and then penalties. I mean, you know the snap count. You know how many guys have to be on the line. These are all things you learn in high school football. You are now a paid pro. These are unexcusable mistakes. If you're at Arrowhead and it's loud at 140 decibels and 30 seconds to go and you're down four, you shouldn't be jumping off sides. We're talking about Costa Mesa, California, 69 degrees. It's lit like a high school field, no pressure. Give me a break. I'm sorry, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I have zero problems when you're going against what I believe is the best defense in the National Football League that you don't look dominant. I will say that and I will defend the offense. I will because it's fair. But what they just put on the field tonight was not fair. Complete disappointment, except for a few people. All of the tight ends look good. Bowers, Mayer, Harrison Bryant, Cole, they're not the issue. Jacoby Myers, not the issue. Okay. The interior, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Cody Whitehair, not the issue. Okay. I think Andrus Pete has looked very good at times, and so is Thayer. So is Thayer. So I don't even put all of this on the offensive line. But the offensive line isn't getting drops. The offensive line is not lining up wrong. And when you're a quarterback in a quarterback battle, I understand that you've got to separate yourself. Aiden O'Connell is not making much money. And so he has had a better camp, in my opinion, than Gardner. But today they just equally both embrace the suck. But Gardner Minshew's making a lot more. He's making very, very good money. He's making top backup and bottom starter money, and nothing. Nothing. It was a very disappointing. This is the first time in all of camp, and I have been patient and I've tried to be as truthful and blunt with you as I can. They're going against what I believe is the best defense. Let's give it a little bit. Let's watch. They came out the other day and won a practice. This was a scrimmage. This was not a practice. This was lining up mano a mano, grown men doing things to each other that you would go to prison for anywhere else outside of the white lines, fighting for jobs. That's it. It's not brain surgery. Yeah, well, they're going against a great defense. I agree. I've been giving you those as legitimate answers. But at some point, you're still making money. At some point, you're still a pro. You got to be able to do something. I'm sorry. And I want to make this clear. I am not putting this on Getsy, and I'm not putting it on AP. They will get it fixed. They'll get it fixed. AP had this team playing without penalties last year. He'll get it fixed. This is if you hear this and say, "Oh man, Honda was hard on Getsy and AP," then you're not listening. These are pros. I'm putting it strictly on them. On them. On them. You have to make plays. You have to create. And if you're not going to be able to create because of the defense you're playing, that's fine. That's a legitimate argument. Then you don't throw into triple coverage. You don't throw towards Jack Jones when you're trying to be a gunslinger and give up the ball on your side of the 50. You don't line up wrongly when you're a veteran. You don't jump the snap count when there is no pressure. I'm telling you tonight, a Krispy Kreme donut sitting in front of me on my desk would have a better chance than the offense did against the defense tonight. It was pitiful. It was pitiful. Nothing. Could not get motivations. And then they go and they put in the threes, and Anthony Brown, the quarterback, 2 fumbles. 1 play. And Anthony's had a good camp. He's been solid. You got to understand, none of this is personal. But you got a chance to make a play. Anthony Brown, you have a chance to say, listen, everybody's talking about these two. What about moi? My head coach talked about me at the owners' meetings. They talked about me during OTAs. Here is my opportunity to make a statement to say, hey, give me some reps with the twos. And you fumbled twice in 1 play. I thought Walter Matthau was going to walk out. It was utterly disappointing. And I feel bad for a Jacoby Myers who's playing super well. I feel bad for a Harrison Bryant and a Brock Bowers and a Michael Mayer that are playing well. I feel bad for an Andre James, a Cody. I feel bad for most of the starting ones, quite frankly. I think they've all been pretty good. I mean, they are going against Max and Christian, but they're in there just fighting. Now, I want to say this because I think this is very important. It wasn't an effort issue. And so if you're looking for something to be encouraged, you say, Uncle Hondo, how can you tell me AP is going to fix it? Well, he's going to fix it because there's a lot of talent there. These are men who have proven to be able to do it. So don't take this as a sky is falling. It just was a disappointing night. It's like when they lost to Minnesota last year, and you're just like, no points. It was one of those moments. None of these guys are character issues. None of these guys are bad guys. And I'm going to tell you the most frustrating part was it wasn't effort related. Now, jumping off sides, effort related. Not lining up, that's effort related. That's not paying attention to detail. So I guess, but my point was you didn't see guys loafing and not caring. That should encourage you. I fully expect on Monday the offense is going to come out really mad because they just got spanked. They just got beat up. They just got left for dead. They looked like the Chargers when the Raiders blew them out last year. Just the deer and like nothing they did. And the frustrating part is Getsy. There were some plays where Getsy had some brilliant calls, penalty, or bad throw, a drop. Years ago, Bobby Bowden, the great Florida State head coach, shared something with me. I'll never forget this as long as I live. It's a great statement. He said, if I look at a play and a play fails and my guys are all in the right position, they just didn't make a play. Or 10 guys are in the right position, one guy makes a mistake. None of that's on coaching. That's all on players. He said, but if I look and they're not in position, or I got 4 or 5 guys or 3 guys making mistakes, that's on coaching. Okay, this was not on coaching. And you may say, oh, Hondo's protecting the coaching staff. You know what? Kiss my rear, because I'm not. I'm man enough to come up here. Josh McDaniels was a friend, and I wasn't afraid to call him out. The point is, I look for that stuff. It wasn't coaching. Yeah, but the defense is great. You're absolutely right. They are. But having a great defense doesn't mean your offense has to embrace the suck. It's disappointing. Especially they won a practice earlier this week. This was their chance to make a statement. Fans are there. Lots of people were there. North Turner was there. Mark Davis was there. You got a chance to make a statement. Everybody's talking about our defense. Well, let me show you this. And what did you do? Mm-hmm. At one point, I literally looked for a gong. When I was a young man, there was a show on TV called The Gong Show, where people would come out and do routines, and if they were terrible, somebody would just grab a mallet and and gong them out. If there had been a gong, I think fans would have walked up and grabbed a big hammer and just gong. This was a gut check. Now I'm going to say something because on that offensive side of the ball, there's a lot of really good, fine men who are battlers and who are very talented. Very talented. But they got to make a statement now. They have to make a statement. They have got to come out now and just simply say, okay, we had a bad game. We had a bad scrimmage. That's fair. That's not us. And I want to see them playing furious. Again, it's not every one of them. It is the majority of them. Just make plays. I thought Alexander Madison did some things well. I thought Zeus did some things well, but Overall, it was just it was disappointing. It was not Raider football. Tonight was the first night where I just saw that defense beat them up, and at times it was if they had oh my god. And I'm gonna say this about all 3 quarterbacks. It was like the offense was literally, "What's gonna happen bad now?" Okay, that's when you need your quarterback to get fired up. That's when you need your quarterback to say, "Enough of this. We're not doing this." That's the vocalness that you needed to see. I wanted to see a wide receiver get chewed for dropping an unbelievable ball, or a guy to get chewed for jumping off sides or lining up wrong. I mean, that's part of playing that position. You have to be demanding. And we just trot off the field. No, no, unacceptable. It is a totally fair statement to say, and I'm using their voice. Clearly, I don't work for the Raiders, but to say, hey, we're going against the best defense. That's fair. But you're going against the best defense. But tonight, if the offense would have been arrested for being an NFL offense, there would not have been enough evidence to convict them. Again, few players. We're not talking about tight ends. We're not really talking about offensive line with the first string. And we're not talking about Jacoby Myers. Not talking about them. Not really talking about Zeus and Alexander. Dylan Labe was a rookie. I'm gonna give him a pass because he did do some things. But I'm talking about overall, that offense needs to look in the mirror and say, that's unacceptable. That was a steaming pile of horse crap in our first scrimmage. Now, here's the whole deal. There are 3 preseason games coming. Coming. The first one in 6 days up in Minnesota. So you got plenty of time to fix this ship. If you're going to crap your pants, I mean, I have a 2-year-old who's not yet potty trained. When we get in the car to go somewhere, God, I always say, I hope he takes a big potty before we leave because there's nothing worse than being on a 4-hour trip and you got to stop because your car smells like a porta potty. So if you're going to crap your bed, at least you did it in your first scrimmage. But you want to know why this frustrates me? Because I have high expectations for them. There are a lot of fine human beings, good men who've worked hard. It's pride now. It's pride that says, you know what? No. You know what? I'm tired of Max Crosby kicking my butt. I'm tired of Jacorian Bennett, Nate Hobbs, Isaiah Palomao, Trey Taylor. Dear God, Trey Taylor had an amazing scrimmage tonight. I got to go make something happen. I got to go make a little something, something. And you know what? There was a play tonight where the defender took Gardner Minshew to the ground. I want to see a little bit of Richie Incognito of somebody that goes up and gets in a defender's face when they just get humiliated. Show some pride. It's not run off the field. Well, we got to get better. Yeah, I'm going to say this to you, and it's no secret. I have a great relationship with Max. He's a friend. But you want to know one of the things I love about Max? And he was this way at Eastern Michigan, by the way. If he makes a bad play, he gets so angry and he just can't wait to get back on the field. And if somebody beats him, I told you the other day, there was a play, and let me tell you, Max is a superstar. Someone said, "You haven't really talked a lot about Max." There's nothing to talk about. He's great and he's performing great. But there was a play the other day where him and Thayer beat him. Oh, I told you, he's screaming at the ref. He's screaming at Thayer, and Thayer's just standing there looking at him. I love that. And Max loves it. I want to see that. We saw it earlier without pads when the offense was chirping back at the defense. Not there tonight. Not there. I don't know if they were thinking about having a day off tomorrow. I have no earthly idea. But tonight was a disappointing performance. I want to make it clear. I don't expect them to go out and kick the butt of this defense because I don't expect anyone in the NFL, including the best player in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, doing that this year. Don't expect it from anybody. But I do expect it to not be disappointing. I do expect to see effort. You know what? It's the game of football. And there are times when it sucks, when you're getting beat up or the weather's going to be cold or it's going to be rainy and you're struggling and the other team seems to do everything right. And somehow, some way, it's 4th and goal. You're up 4. They can't kick a field goal. Last play of the game. And you just have to reach down inside your stomach and find another gear to say, embrace the suck. We're not giving up the touchdown. We're winning this football game. And consequently, there has to be, when it's 4th and 1 at the 2, 4th and goal at the 2, no timeouts left. You're down 4 and you got to score and you got to find a way. You got to find a way. You have to find a way. My expectations are not that this offense rules this defense. That would be unrealistic and untruthful, and it would be unfair. But it is not unrealistic for me to expect you to be competitive, to be able to compete. And there'd be a good play, penalty. Be a good play, they get knocked back. And I want to make this clear. And I am man enough to tell you, if I thought it was coaching, it wasn't. Good men who had a very bad night. And that's my job to report it. And I hope, because I'm not a person that enjoys being negative, I hope that I'm back in here Monday doing our training camp update for you. And I'm like, man, the offense responded. How? Right in the kisser. That was not tonight. Tonight, they got their butts kicked. And it looked bad. Looked bad. Again, I thought really good schemes. I thought there were some really good play calls. It just it was bad. No other way to say it. Let's talk about some good things because I'm not a guy that just wallows in negativity. I told you there were several players that played well, but we're talking about the offense as a whole. Again, Isaiah Palomar, phenomenal young man. And I'm going to tell you what really excites me about him. I've been preaching the praises of this kid. He can play in this league. But he found his confidence now, and he talked about that afterwards. He found his confidence. And tonight he made a play on a receiver where he looked like he was carjacking him. I mean, now you have to understand Isaiah Palomar to fully appreciate this. He is one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet in your life. He is just a true gentleman. He is very quiet in nature, just a terrific kid. But tonight on the football field, he looked like a bully. He just made some great plays. Interceptions, I mean, ripping balls away, being in position, forcing quarterbacks to make different reads. He saw things, he was moving guys around. IPA played tonight like a starter in the National Football League. And afterwards, when he talked about really finding his confidence, that should excite your Raider Nation. Trey Taylor, the rookie, everything I thought he was going to be. Tommy Eichenberg, everything I thought he was going to be. Everything. Right? And thinking about it, DJ Glaze, he's a rookie. Had some bad plays, but he had some good ones tonight. Again, I told you, I'm not as concerned about the offensive line as other people. But still, I tell you, another guy that had a great night was Tyree Wilson. He did not have a good night. He had a great night. Tyree Wilson tonight was extremely impressive. It was great watching him cut, spin, um, power, everything that you wanted to see from Tyree was tonight. Do I think it was a perfect performance? Absolutely not. But he's barely into his sophomore season and his rookie year, his freshman year, his rookie year was essentially a red shirt. I thought Tyree Wilson was phenomenal. Um, you know, Sincere McCormick, great kid, fumble. This is a kid that's got to do something. I mean, all right, again, multiple drops, and it was just it was a performance tonight that if you're going to have one of these, you want to have it in the preseason in a scrimmage. But somewhere between now and Monday morning, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell need to get that offense around. Don't need a coach screaming and yelling. And tell them, guys, this isn't acceptable. Quarterbacks just don't throw footballs and hand them off. They lead. They lead. And in the middle of a quarterback battle, and I'm going to tell you right now, the way both men played tonight, this job is up in the air. And you want to win this job, then go show some fire in your belly. Guys, I love you. And I'm speaking from the quarterback voice. This was unacceptable. Somebody's got to. I believe right now this quarterback job is wide open, and somebody can go win it by grabbing this team by the ears. Remember when you were a kid and your parents would say, "You better listen." And don't anybody send me an email. That's child abuse. I can assure you, my parents did not abuse me, but there were times I needed a little wake up call, and they need to go grab their team and say, "Listen up, this is unacceptable." From me on down. From me on down. Unacceptable. We're pros. There's too many good players on this team for us to be embarrassed. There's no shame in losing to the defense. There's shame in being embarrassed. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. As embarrassing as the Minnesota game was last year. It was that bad. I wish I could tell you it wasn't, but it was. And I'm sure other people are going to have other opinions, but that's mine. Again, not attacking anybody's character. I know a lot of those offensive guys, and they're good men. Good men. I expect them to respond. but I can't report tonight on what they're going to do. I just left. My job is to report on what they just did, and what they just did was stink. Period. Now, that's what training camp's about. It's getting better. It's one bad day. They have not looked this bad all of camp. They've not looked great, but they've not looked this bad. So if they respond, this was a blessing. This was a blessing. Sky isn't falling. The season's not over. It was just a wake up call. Now we're going to find out, do they wake up or do they hit the snooze? This is what I love about football. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. I'm with them every day, wherever they are in the country. I'm with them. And I'll tell you, have a wonderful night. Well, you may be watching this in the morning. This is well into Sunday morning on the East Coast, but wherever you are. Again, sky's not falling. It was a wake up call, but it was extremely disappointing. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Congratulations to the defense. Congratulations on the guys on the offense that did look good. Congratulations to them. But this wasn't on coaches. This is on players. They got to look in the mirror.